Yeah, good evening, guys. Today we are going to work with the data science. Myself, I am Veerbhadra. I am working for MSCT program at IIITH, Hyderabad. And today our objective is to see what exactly the data science. So before working with the data science, we should also get familiar with the just briefing of the primitive things of the data science as a part of the DBMS. Okay, let us see that minimal components of the database. Atomic unit of the database would be a field generally. Like, we are going to create the database from the student or employee or anything. We can start with the field activity. That is the atomic unit of the database. So collection of database can be record, probably can say, right? In the similar way, the collection of tables can be a database, where collection of database are interrelated, all the tables are interrelated, that can be called as a relational database system, right? Generally. And the next level is, so at that level, only tables are interrelated, they are going to share the data. It's like only numerical data, non-numerical data. Okay. When coming to the images and some objects like that. So that will also support here, like, collection of objects and relational data. That is called ORDBMS. Like, Oracle and, MySQL, MS SQL Server, DB2, all these things comes under ORDBMS, right? Yeah. So what is exactly CRUD operations here? So DBMS is capable to perform the following operations like a CRUD actually. CRUD means create record or insert record, retrieve record. Probably once we are going to make the particular record, definitely we have to create the content. That can be called as create record initially. Then retrieve record. Under retrieve record instance, whatever the data is already deposited, you wanted to view that. So that can be retrieved operation. Update. Suppose some data is updated, like earlier employee salary is some value. After some time, maybe after 6 months or 1 year, there may be some incremental. So by that time, the record should be updated for the particular employee. For that relevant implementation should be update. So generally that is the update operation. When coming to the delete, so there is no necessity of the particular record for the existency. There is no necessity of that. By that time we can delete the record. So this is exactly a DBMS management system basically. Structured query language. Because there is some relation between the SQL and this data science. Actually, that's why we are just started with the very basic level of the DBMS, right? So SQL, structured query language. So structured query language, it's a name itself is structured. It's not a programming language, it's only structured query language. It has different statements are there, like, DDL statements. DDL stands for data definition language. So that is nothing but subset of the SQL statements that change the structure of the database schema. Some way, typically like creating, deleting, or modifying the schema of the objects, such as the databases tables, and as well as we can use even most of the implement the DDL statements start with the creating the drops alter. So we can create the database, we can create the table, right? That all comes under even alter and drop the table, drop the database, basically. So these are all the metadata. DDL stands for metadata, data about data. So that is exactly structured query language. Under that, DDL is one part actually. Okay. Next, DML. So this is one of the most important statements like DML, data manipulation language. Really, the end user is going to make use it actually. Like, DML commands SQL database stands for the data manipulation language. name itself, we are going to manipulate the data. Like, we can use the retrieve the data, store the modify, like a store, modify, delete, and insert, as well as update. These are all the operations can be performed with the DML statements actually. In fact, we are manipulating the data. That's why we can call it as a data manipulation language, basically. So there are different examples of these statements under DML. You can say that select. This command will use it to retrieve the data or the set of data from the table actually. Insert. So we can insert a new data into the table. Update. Update is a keyword that can be used to modify the existing data into the table actually. Right. Delete. Delete the particular record from the table. These are all the basic operations under DML. DCL. Okay, DCL stands for, you can simply say that, data control language. Data control language, like referential integrity, as well as we can have that access database by the security. Like you can say, give the permissions and all the relevant security relevant, all the statements can be used for the DCL. Revoke. Okay, like we can set a particular privilege. We can give the privilege to the particular database, so that can become under DCL actually. Okay. Next, you can see, like example here, it can be grant and revoke. As I told you that earlier earlier slide, you can see that what is exactly giving the permission and all. Grant is one kind of keyword that will give the privilege to the database. So what operations you can, what are the privileged persons you can have. So administrator have some permissions, user have some permissions, like that. Revoke. Withdraw all the user's access privileges to the database with the grant command. TCL, this is another type of statements. TCL stands for transaction control language. It is one of the important, isn't it? Now you can see, like this, deposit withdrawal operations are there. So once it is deposited amount, you can have that committed as well as rollback. These are the commands comes under TCL. So this is the completely block diagram of the data science. Now we can see completely what you can understand here is, so initially in the world, you can have the different raw data. Suppose this is called raw data. This black diagram will give you what exactly the data science and its process actually. You can see that. Okay. Now we can see. Here data is a processed here. And before data is processed, it must be clean. The data should be clean, the data set. And you can say that exploratory, data analysis. Once the data is clean, that can be applied for the exploratory data analysis actually. After analysis that, you can have the model the algorithm. After having the modeling the algorithm, what you can do, that can be communicate the visualization report. So finally, decision making. And that can be the data product. Finally, you will be getting the data product. After taking the decisions on the particular data, we can make it appropriate expected output. That can be the data product. So this is the completely block diagram of the data science process. Okay. This is the preliminary components are required for the data science. What is exactly, I have seen that today. What you have seen here is what is exactly database and its properties, and what is the basic properties of the data science. Okay. In the next session, we'll be seeing that what is exactly the data science and its relevant operations actually that we can see.